anything to start.
How was practice?
It was a good day. Yeah, we quite a bit of live work today, and just focusing a little more defensively and rebounding. Those are some things that we gotta shore up and continue to work on. But the ball was moving around great. Very competitive, both groups, so it's a really solid day of practice.
You never want to say that academics are a distraction, but do you find this time of year after finals and before the spring semester starts is the a period where you see like the most improvement maybe in the team in season?
I mean, it's possible. The improvement of the guys' spirits is, now that they're not in class and they could have more time to themselves when they're not getting ready to play or practicing. So, yeah, the spirits were good for sure in that regard.
Bobby, I know you've been asked a little bit about this already, but you're the only one who's been through this sort of circus. What do you tell the players about coping with this kind of national attention?
I think they've earned it. They weren't anointed, prior to the season with anything. They've had to earn everything they've had, all the credit they've been given, every win. So I want them to enjoy it and appreciate the success. But they're still very grounded. These guys are still very, very hungry, very motivated, and that's every indication I'm getting from what I see being around them and in practice. But they are happy. It's good to feel good about yourself and because of what we've been able to accomplish so far.
Bobby, during the summer, obviously the guys are working hard, and you're believing the best that they're going to come out and perform well. But with this early success, did you envision this? And now that it's here, what's this experience like?
It's just you don't know how it's going to shake out. You feel like you have a good group and a team that is going to be very competitive in any of these games. And I had a strong feeling because I knew how much better the guards were getting and how much better they looked. And then you're adding Remy Martin and Mickey Mitchell and Kamani Lawrence to that mix. And then I knew we had the balance with our inside game that we just lacked last year. So I knew the success was going to be better. You don't expect necessarily when you look at a schedule to run the table up to this point and beat the type of teams we've beaten. So it's you just appreciate it. And then you kind of move on and get ready for the next battle.
From a confidence standpoint, how did you convince a team that didn't have the pedigree or the history of a Duke or a Kansas that they could get to this point?
I mean, these guys are they're players. The seniors had to fight through a lot. There was a lot of tough times the last 2 years. They played well individually, each one of those guys, Shannon, Trey, and Cody, but we just didn't have the consistent success that we were all hoping for. And so they were hungry to go out as seniors and be respected as winners, and they are winners, and they're showing that now. And they came in again as great leaders the last 2 days and kind of refocused the group. It's a heck of a lot easier to coach when you have guys like Trey, Shannon, and Cody leading.
You said you saw the guards improve a little bit. What steps did they?
Well, I mean, it's just when you play and you play in these high-level games against great competition in a great league like the Pac-12, you learn about yourself and you fine-tune your game, and you know who you are as a player, and you could see where you can attack, and just their overall efficiency on offense is staggering. They're Shannon Evans and Trey Holder, two of the most efficient offensive players in college basketball, and that's been a process and maturing and developing and understanding who they are as players.
Bobby, you've been a big proponent of you get better by playing the game and then working on the skill set per position. Where does that come from, and take us in that philosophy, because it's obviously paid off?
I'm sorry, could you just give me...
Yeah, you're a big proponent of playing the game, these guys playing against each other and then working on their skills. Take us inside that philosophy. That's how you condition, that's how you play, that's how you get better.
Well, I mean, I think that we have a mixture in our practices of working on our execution, and there's a lot of different ways that we could get to the point where we're going to attack our opponent, and different formations, different things that we do, and that gives the guys a framework in the half-court offense. But I also loved in that Kansas game when I gave up control of the team and put it in the hands of Trey, Shannon, Cody, and Remy, and trusting them as decision makers and playmakers out there. And when the game got up and down in that second half, I liked our chances just because of how those guys were playing. And they're playing on instinct, and they're playing off each other. They're playing unselfishly, and the ball was moving pretty well.
How much did you do that last year, where you would just let them kind of take over the game?
I mean, it was, but again, it's just they had so many responsibilities, and I tried to explain that to you guys as best I could last year. It's like Cody trying to guard the guys he was trying to guard, and asking Shannon and Trey to to block out 7-footers every time down. It's not easy. Now we've with the inside game and the presence of Romello White and Daquan Lake and Vitali's coming on, even him hitting that first 3 for us and to get us going. And at Kansas was a big shot early in the game, and so they're now freed up to be who they are more. I think they would have shown that on a more regular basis last year if I had done my job a little better and sooner and gotten them some help.
I don't know if you saw the video, but earlier today, Sean Miller said that you guys at the number 5 spot was underrated. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really get caught up on where we're ranked, and super proud to be considered in that company at this stage of the season. There's just a lot of basketball left to be played, and I know that there's people that feel that we have at this moment, the best resume in terms of winning neutral site wins, championship on a neutral site against top programs, and then to go on the road and win that type of road game. It's just it rarely happens. So I appreciate Sean saying that, and I think we got to push for each other in the Pac-12 and support each other as best we can.
Melo's putting up numbers, but it seems like it's easy to be overshadowed by how good everybody else is doing around him. But how important has he really been?
He's terrific. I mean, everything is focused on the Kansas game right now, but that Kansas game wouldn't have had the meaning that it had on Sunday if we didn't get through St. John's. And St. John's was a hard game, and Melo came through. He delivered in that game, and just 22 points, 9 rebounds, and scoring inside. We played through him quite a bit in that game, and because of how well St. John's defends on the perimeter. So we have different ways that we can attack our opponent, and Romello's a big part of it.
The last time you played in a big game and had some time off, you didn't play your best game versus San Francisco. Similar situation here, you had some time off after a big win. How do you avoid that coming into Sunday's game?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be games where you're not, at your very best on offense, and I thought defensively against San Francisco was the best we played all year. So, whatever the game gives you, you gotta accept it and find a way to play the way you're capable just to get a win, and that's kind of where we are. So, not sure what the challenges are going to present to us on Sunday. That's the beauty of it. I'm excited to have a great crowd and just all the support we've gotten when we got back has been overwhelming and in such a positive way for our players, and I'm certainly taking notice of how interested and enthusiastic our fan base is about what we're doing, and hopefully everyone will be out there on Sunday, and it should be a great event.
You've talked in the past how much the transfer players are pushing the current players in practice. When you look at Romello White and his development, how much does a guy like Zylan Cheatham help improve his game?
Yeah, I've consistently talked about Z and Rob and what they've been doing. I mean, that second unit is Remy and Rob Edwards and Mickey Mitchell and Zylan and Lake. So I mean, that's a serious group, and so there's some serious battles. And the first unit has a ton of pride, and so does the second unit. So. And for guys like Z and Rob, these practices are their games, and that's how they've looked at it. And they have such good futures, both Rob and Z. Even beyond ASU, just because of how they approach, working on their game and getting better.
Do you see that Trey plays differently when Remy's bringing up the ball?
Well, I mean, Trey is sacrificed. Trey's a true point guard. So is Shannon. And those guys, have allowed Remy to find his niche within the offense, and then that also frees Trey up to find opportunities off the ball to play off penetration, maybe, you know, get behind the three-point arc and hit his three or drive a closeout, and they're all sharing the ball very well and sacrificing.
You talked about the improvement of your senior guards. Is it unusual to see guards take this big a step forward this late in their college careers?
I don't. I mean, I just know, I knew how good they were last year, and again, it was more of a roster makeup situation where, you know, Obi was a warrior for us, but, you know, Obi was like a combination forward. He's like a 3-4, and he wanted to be a 3, and I'm asking him to play the 5, so it just didn't work. But this year now, with a true, legitimate inside game, these guards could be who they are, and you know, I felt confidently that they were NBA guards, and you know, everything that they've done this year is showing that, because you can't win games like at Kansas without NBA guys, because they have NBA guys, you need NBA guys, and you know, Trey and Shannon are definitely that.
Where did Gordon come from?
It's a long story, but we were excited after Vegas and beating Xavier and winning that championship, and it was the coaches and myself and Dave Cohen, our administrator, and we were talking about guards, and I think I said, this is going to be guard you, and then they were just like, oh, we gotta go with this, and then I stayed out of it after that, and focus and try and stay in my lane and do what I do, and not get involved in marketing and slogans and different things like that.
There's been a suggestion that you guys are a year ahead of schedule. What's your take on that?
I mean, I just don't always know maybe what that means, and there's still so much of the season left that we just don't know where we're going to end up. There's teams are going to get better. You know, there's teams in the Pac-12 right now that are considered below us because their record isn't what ours is, but they have every opportunity to, you know, once we get to Pac-12 to be the team that people had a vision for them being. There's a couple of those teams out there in the Pac-12, and we got a lot of work in front of us before we could even determine whether we're ahead of schedule or not. And do I think we're in a tremendous position today? Yeah, we just gotta keep improving and keep winning games.
Has Doug Tamrose demonstrated the ball skills to wear the guard U shirt or no?
Doug, what's your comment on that? Do you want to add anything? No. No, I haven't seen much of what Doug has. I would imagine, like me, he's his best years behind him.
Coach, could you double back on what did you mean when you gave up control of the team?
Well, I mean, it's not in terms of like I'm still paying attention. It's not like I'm sitting there having a Diet Coke or something, which I do. I like Diet Coke, but I'm still involved in substitutional patterns and focusing on the flow of the game. But you know, we weren't running many plays for a few minute stretch where we were getting stops and either a miss or a turnover, and then I wanted us to push the ball and see if we could score early on them before they could set their defense. I think we were in a good position for a stretch of that game, just letting guys play freely.
So when you say really, when you play instinctively, intuitively, do you play faster?
Yeah, and it's not like we're pulling them back, and certain times of the game you got to do that, and you got to try and shorten the game. When you have a lead and things, and we did do some of that as the game went on, but just had such a strong feeling that if I let those guys go, that they were in such a good place, and there were so many of our guys that were playing well that just wanted them to be playmakers out there.
Coach, with the success you've had already, some fans get concerned, what if other schools come calling and all that. Can you just talk about your commitment to what you're building here in Tempe?
Yeah, I love the people I work with and the players I have here and the support I get from my administration, and I'm sure that we're gonna get this thing figured out, and I'm gonna be here a long time. I love Arizona. I love what we've been able to do now and the future, and guys in the program that are young. I talked about Remy and Rob Edwards and Z and Lou Gansdort and all that we're going to try and continue to do in recruiting, and this is going to be opening up doors for us that weren't open before. You know, people, you know, might be more willing to pick up our phone call now after, you know, they see how we play and the scoring and the, you know, the exciting brand of basketball that we are, and hopefully that continues. But I'm, you know, I love it in Tempe and would love to stay here.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.